So I thought that I would start my first video on this channel, just talking a little bit more about myself and like what I go through. So I think I've always had a really hard time being vulnerable. And I think that that's what has led me to have anxiety and have panic, right? And I'm learning a lot about myself through this journey, which is what I love about it. You know, building mental strength and figuring out that the mind is a muscle that can be trained, and all of that stuff is new to me. So I'm learning as I go. But getting back to it, like I've always for whatever reason, I've always really cared a lot about what other people thought of me. And I don't know if you can relate with that or not, but I've always worried about like if I do this, if I do that. And I wasn't like that as a kid, but um, middle school hit me rough, and I got bullied and made fun of. And a lot of people don't know that about me because I'm a really confident person, and I am confident, but it doesn't mean that I don't still care what people think about me, and that's something that I'm learning to, on a side note, something I'm learning that I shouldn't care so much and I should just stick to my values. But it's a big reason on why I get the anxiety and the panic that I do is because um, I'm always worried about like, what if like somebody saw me have a panic attack, or what if somebody saw me super anxious? Like, what would they think? Would they think I'm messed up? And it kind of just wrecks this perfect uh, kind of persona that I've built for myself. Like, I was in the army. I am a successful entrepreneur. I've built this business. It's really cool. So they don't expect any of that stuff. And I feel like if I show that to them, that's a weakness, and I'm just now learning that it's not a weakness, and that everybody goes through times of anxiety and stress and panic. And it's just the way our body works. And I think that is the root cause of why I get this in the first place, is really caring too much about what other people think. So what I'm working on now is I'm trying to do two things. Number one is identify why I care a lot about what other people think and how I can stop doing that. And of course I'm reading books, I'm talking with a therapist, I'm doing a lot of this stuff to figure that out. And I think that if I can figure that out and try to train my mind to care more about everything for myself and not for what other people want, think, um, then I think it will relieve a lot of my anxiety and stress and panic and panic, because like I won't care. So when I'm in situations, so like my thing is when I'm in a situation where I have like fight or flight, right? Like I can't get out, like I have to fight through it. Um, that's when it hits me the worst. And I'm sure it's the same with a lot of people, but that's when it hits me the worst, is because I don't have the option of flight. So things like in the army, when I would stand in formation, I would always get like super anxious because I didn't want to stick out. Like I just didn't want to like, um, I started fearing the fear. Like I started getting afraid that I would get afraid. Like I started fearing getting a panic attack. And that is ultimately what I started getting panic attacks about, was the fear of having one, right? So like on an airplane, on a train, anywhere where like just fleeing is not an option, I have to face it. And then I know I have to face it. And so I start getting these symptoms, like these panic symptoms. Like a lot of people get like heat and sweaty and increased heart rate and shallow breathing and blurred like vision. And I understand why it happens. Like the blood is pumping to the muscles because you're designed to fight a tiger or something. And so I know why it happens, but I just feel at the moment that like it's never going to go away, so I got to do something about it. And I never do. I've never had like an outburst, or I've never had anything like that before. But it's tough to go through, and it's draining. And so I don't like going through that. So I almost anticipate that if I'm in one of those situations, it's just automatically going to happen. And I don't want people to see that because I care too much about what people think. So that's what I'm working on now is number one, trying to not care what people think and to do everything for myself and my values and what I want to do, and not to care what other people, their opinion of me and things like that. And then second, how I'm working a lot on how to, when I do feel anxiety coming on, how can I combat it and not just be a victim? So there's techniques, there's tricks, there's grounding techniques, there's breathing exercises. So just to give you an idea, like I'm doing a lot of reading, I'm doing a lot of meditation, I'm doing a lot of exercise, everything that is supposed to help you with just general anxiety. And keep in mind, I've had this stuff my entire life. So I'm just now I've had enough of it, and I'm doing something about it. And so the main purpose of this YouTube channel is to show my vulnerability, and I think if I can do that, that's a huge piece of the puzzle. Is I've never shown vulnerability. I've always wanted to be really, really a tough guy, And so when I get in these situations where I have to show my vulnerability, it's not an option. I don't know what to do. My mind freaks out, and so I need to make it more of a regular thing. So I'm not creating this facade of a person that I'm not, And so I figured if I'm going to go through this whole transformation, and this mental strengthening, I want to help somebody else along the way too. So I'm doing a lot of stuff to build a strong mind, and put myself through pain and suffering, and just to see, I feel like if I run 10 miles without stopping, like it's going to really, really suck. And I'm not going to want to do it. But when I'm done, like I will have taken myself to a place I haven't before. And that builds a lot of confidence, because you're going to be really tired and really, sore and really everything. And you can only get to that place through the pain and suffering. You can't get there any other way. And so because of that, on the other side is a place that very few people get to experience. And I want to get to that side. And it's going to build mental strength, or learning how to calm my mind down and focus on the present. I'm not good at that, but I'm going to learn how, so anytime I come up with something that works really well, or if I'm having a struggle, I want to be as detailed as I can about what's causing it and how I plan to overcome it. So then people can use this, if anybody's even interested, as a resource to maybe do the same thing for themselves. I'm going to do the heavy lifting. I'm going to find the resources and practice them and try to put myself in situations and then get myself out of those situations and all sorts of stuff to really discover my mind. And I want to conquer this anxiety thing. I think I can. I think it's something that I can beat, and realizing that it's not going to ever go away, but I'll just have so many tools to manage it that it doesn't affect my life anymore. And I feel like I can do that. So this is my first video, kind of just explaining what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And it's enough. It's time. So I'm going to, post as frequently as I feel like I need to. And as things go on, I'll share some of the resources that I'm using. If you guys know of anything that has worked really well for you, please put it in the comments or pass it on to me, because, I'm just out here trying stuff. So I hope that this helps somebody, and I'm going to beat this thing, and I'm going to hope that I don't know how long it's going to take, but I hope that it can help someone else too.